Yo, what it do though? Jokester baby here with a special. You already know what it is, man. I got the talented, the educated, and the strong-willed JaMelle Hill running for Congress in the 2nd District of my beautiful state, Georgia, which has really been messing up a lot lately. I'm sorry, y'all. I know folks like, why is coronavirus the number one thing you can catch? And also hands. But, it's a good thing that you're here. It's so great to have you in the studio today. Man.
Good to be here.
So, first and foremost, just briefly, tell people about yourself.
So, as you mentioned, my name is JaMelle Hill, and I hail from the great state of Georgia. Yes, we love it. Georgia Peach. I was born in Macon, Georgia, Bibb County, and I've been here. I did leave the area. I went to Howard University. I graduated, so I was up north for a little bit, and came back. And essentially, when I went to Howard, so let's start off at the beginning. I was here in Warner Robins, and I went to private school, but I grew up in Perry, Georgia. I grew up in a 2-bedroom home that I shared with, at any point in time, a maximum of 7 people, or never less than 3. It was always me, my mother, and my grandmother. So I grew up in a community, right? And so I understand the value of it takes a village to raise a child. From there, I went to, when I went to Howard, right, I knew there was a difference in how we lived because as I mentioned, I was living in a 2-bedroom home, but my friends, they lived in a 4-bedroom home that had multiple stories and swimming pools. I had to go to Creekwood Park to go to the swimming pool, and we're not gonna talk about that water quality, but we lived. I think that's why we beat Corona, because we swam in Creekwood.
What's the vibe?
You feel me?
Word.
So, but it was when I went to Howard that I learned why we had different lives. It was when I went to Howard that I learned that there were actually systems set in place to keep us at different levels, us in poverty and them out of poverty. So I graduated from Howard with a master's, with a degree in biology pre-med, and I came home and I couldn't get a job.
Right.
I graduated with almost honors. I had a 3.1 something, so it was close to cum laude. I did well, right?
Hey,
I graduated, right? First of all, wait, HU. Do you hear me? So Howard, yes. But I graduated from Howard, and I learned about the systems. I came home, I couldn't get a job, and so I had to go back to school. I went to Mercer University. I got a master's in public health. I graduated. Tell me, could I get a job? Good people. No.
No
job. All of this education, and I couldn't get a job, okay? And then when I got a job, I got a job working for a contractor off base, and that was only because of someone that I knew. So that was my life lesson, that it's not what you know, it's who you know. All the degrees in the world, but it took me knowing someone to get a job. And when I got that job, there was a girl who was paid substantially more than I was with her high school degree. So tell me about this system, right? But what are we taught? What are you taught when you're growing up, right? That you go to school, you'll graduate, and you'll get a good job, and everything's gonna be okay. You're gonna get your house, you're gonna get your white picket fence, your dog, your kid.
It ain't work that way.
It doesn't work out.
It definitely does not work that way. So, and you understand that, like, humble beginnings to kind of where you're at now. That's dope. That's dope.
Right. So at Mercer, that's when I learned that health is intrinsically linked to everything that we do. Your work life, your mental, your physical, it's holistic. Health affects everything. And so that's when I realized, okay, well, us as Americans, we're an obese nation. And if we're an obese nation, how can we be contributing members of society?
Right.
Productive contributing members of society.
We're unhealthy.
Right, but guess who we are contributing to? We're contributing to Big Farm because we're on medicine, right?
Oh yeah, Big Pharma definitely reaping, the benefits of basically hooking us on the same pills that they're saying are going to save us. So they can literally prescribe fentanyl and then get us hooked on it, and then they can create the cure that's going to get people off of the fentanyl. So you get paid twice. You're right.
And make that money.
Yes,
Absolutely. And then the food, our crops, right? they're not, we have GMOs now, right? We have pesticides. We have just not natural of the earth. And so, again, that leads to problems, chronic problems that we know who faces: African Americans, diabetes, high cholesterol, or what we like, a sugar, right?
The sugars.
Blood pressure, all of that, blood pressure. And so, again, it's in our food. It's in the fast food. It's not even in just the healthy food. You have to get organic food.
And it costs more.
Which can we afford if we're already making the bare minimum, right?
Exactly.
So, I mean, it's just, again, my eyes were enlightened to the system that was set in place, the system that we've bought into, and the system that we have to break. We have to come up with new measures. We have to come up with a new way of honestly conducting our lives. We have to rethink and reformulate and change some things.
I definitely agree. And you seem like you're primed for this position. So what was the moment that just made you realize, like, damn it, I'm here. I'm going to run. I have to do this. What clicked?
So when I graduated from Mercer University, my teacher told me, I always had a vast number of ideas. My teacher told me, he said, you need to write them down. He's like, because you never know where you're going to need them. So I started keeping journals. I have them here with me just because it's been years of processing and thoughts. And basically with the murder of George Floyd.
May he rest in peace.
Rest in peace, George Floyd.
George Floyd.
And all the numerous others, right?
Yes,
that are
too many
victims. But when that happened, everyone, the common denominator was, we need a plan. We march, we rally. So that means we can unite. We have momentum. We can come together. Not just black people, black, white, all different nationalities, Hispanics, Orientals.
Definitely.
We all came together for a common purpose and a common good. And so but the common theme was, what are we going to do? What is our plan? How are we going to make things different? What viable actions can we take, not only in this area, but around the country, to make our voices heard? So from there, I typed up what some would call probably somewhat of a manifesto. Just how do we get out of this, and what do we want, and what are we asking for? It essentially made its way to California, and some good people reached out to me, and they were like, I believe in what you're doing. There are a lot of like-minded people out here that are just like you and have the same thoughts as you. Would you be interested in representing us in Congress? And I was like, oh,
wow.
I would love to represent us in Congress, because, again, going back to my education, I know that true change happens on a systematic level. That change, when you want change, it starts at the grassroots, right? It unfortunately took the killing. It took us galvanizing and us uniting and us coming together to say we want something. It took those grassroots efforts, but now in order to truly implement systematic change, it's got to start. It has to go to the top and trickle its way down. It has to be done through laws and through policies. And I feel like I'm able to make an informed, educated decision that represents not only my values, but the values of the constituents, the people that I represent in District 2. So I feel I have to do this. I feel, for some reason, it's not easy to get into politics. For some reason, it's not easy to have a hand in the laws that govern our land. It's not easy to have a voice. We have a vote.
We do.
But we don't always have a voice. And so I said, I want to be that voice. I want to represent average, everyday, don't make over $100,000 a year. That stimulus package matter, that COVID package matter, that extra. I'm one of those people. And I want to represent those people on the highest level of government and make laws that help us and help everyone, right?
Okay. I can definitely appreciate that. You say you want to be a voice, but I'm going to be honest. I think a lot of people are going to kind of perceive you as a pest, especially the Democratic Party, because you're coming for a seat that an incumbent's been sitting there for a long time. And not only that, he's apparently a brother, so they say. So when it comes to that perspective, there's going to be this whole, you're splitting the black vote. How do you attack that and how do you handle that?
My purpose isn't to split the black vote.
Okay.
My purpose is to encourage and increase the black vote.
Nice.
I think there are a number of people who are not satisfied with all of the options that we have today. I think there are a number of people who are not satisfied with where we are. I think, and rightfully so, I think there are a number of people because we're still in poverty. We still are, our education system is poor. And so, in looking for answers, we're looking for something different. We're looking to break away from a system that obviously is broken and is no longer working for everyone. When our forefathers formed this nation, they wrote the Constitution, and what we see now is a blatant disregard for the Constitution. Okay. And so, I don't know if it's, when you're far removed from areas and the daily struggles in life, it's hard to really speak and attest to what's going on when you're far removed from it. And so I think that in me running, it doesn't, it doesn't hurt the Democrats at all. If anything, it'll help the Democrats. If anything, it'll bring out more young voters. If anything, it'll bring out that demographic that my counterparts aren't reaching. Mm-hmm. I think in general it's a win because we know that, thank you, Mr. Sanford Bishop, for your years of service and dedication to our country in District 2. But we know what Sanford Bishop and the rest of the Democratic Party, we know what they're capable of. And
I've been talking about it for a while on the show. I represent a certain ideology. I don't represent a certain party. So just because a lot of what I believe is on the left doesn't mean that I got to rock with the people who are on the left. And if you're not giving us anything, then it's time for you to go. And I can appreciate that you coming at it from that perspective, that you feel that even though you respect what he's done, you feel like maybe it's time for somebody else to give this a shot because, 1993 is a long time, mm-hmm. to be in mm-hmm. office. You're talking about over 25 years of just sitting in the same seat. And eventually, that seat, it tends to need somebody else to kind of warm it up. So,
well, my job is to help. I want to be that bridge. For example, I know there's recently been legislation that's passed, and it was monies that has come down for the agricultural community. District 2 is a rural community, so there are a number of farmers, and farmers are essential, right? Oh my goodness! Like, what can we do without them? Thank you so much for your dedication to your craft, right? To growing quality food. We were just talking about how important nourishment is for mm-hmm. your overall health, for your mental, physical, spiritual health. So thank you again to the farmers. But there's money that comes down for farmers. I want to be that bridge. We know that it's there, but what type of assistance do you have in receiving it? You can go to a website, but if you aren't very well versed in technology, if that isn't your thing, then what other resources do you have available? So I think it's important to realize that, there are funds available, right? As taxpayers, we know there's funds available because we pay taxes,
exactly.
Right? So shouldn't we be able to recoup some of that money, not just through, an income tax check, but shouldn't we be able to recoup some of that money through grants, right?
Oh, I've been asking for it. You preaching to the choir, sister. I'm with it.
Right.
There's no reason why we're consistently paying into things that we don't actually want. For once, could we actually get the things that we do? So I'm with it, and I think that's a good thing. Also, lack of access of high-speed internet to rural areas makes it a lot harder for them to get the information that you're trying to get to them. So I think you being a bridge is definitely necessary.
Right. Let's utilize technology, and it's not just when COVID hit, we saw how important technology is, mm-hmm. and so for us to be an advanced society, right? President Trump toots all the time, we're number one, right? We're number one in the world. then our entire nation, our entire infrastructure should represent that. And also, I want to give a shout out to Life League, right? It's a nonprofit organization. It stands for Leading and Inspiring Through Fellowship and Education. And that's another way, I left that out, but essentially, that's who I am. I've always held a life of servitude through different avenues. But again, I've been working with Life League since I graduated, and we actually document our programs. They're evaluated. And so for us to have this level of scrutiny to show where we're actually impacting our community directly, but have the hardest of time to be able to get grants and funds, to have the hardest of times to even to be able to get support from our local government because they say they don't want to duplicate services. But there are thousands of children here. How do you believe that only one institution can serve this entire community? And if the people are showing you and telling you that they want it, why not support them? You know? So
Exactly.
yeah, we there again, there's money. When I got into this field, my grandmother said, well, baby, ain't no money in it. I said, oh no, grandma. Do you know how much CEOs of nonprofit organizations get?
Mm-mm.
But yeah,
enlightenment.
Thousands of hundreds of their salaries are 9 times out of 10 over. Well, I won't make that. Let me not say that. Let me not say that. For major nonprofit organizations, we're talking about United Way. You know, we're major organizations. Their CEOs make over $100,000 a year. That's big money, you know, but imagine what that money will do. And they do donate, but all we're saying is more nonprofits who are working directly in the community, more farmers, more people who need access to these grants. There was also another grant. I saw that VP-elect Kamala Harris, she helped her state of California get a grant. Actually, they received more than one grant out of this particular part of money. It was called 2501. And she helped them to get that money, and it was through partnership with local institutions. Well, we have numerous institutions here, and they do agriculture. We're an agricultural state.
Exactly. Very big on agriculture.
You know, why haven't, we got to be that bridge. We got to bridge.
We do. So, I guess the next thing that would have to be spoken about is how you anticipate on being that bridge, and we can do that in the second part. But yeah, we'll be right back.